It is my great pleasure to introduce Stuart Greenberg and Mark Stone. Welcome to the show, guys.
Nice to be here.
Thank you, Steve.
Today we're going to be talking about a young man, Ryan Speed, and his case. Give us a little background of who Ryan is and how this whole thing happened.
Ryan, at the age of 25, developed a skin condition. And he went to his dermatologist, and it's a dermatological center that has over 50 offices throughout many states in the country.
Right.
And they treated him with injections and oral medication called corticosteroids. And they overtreated him to the point where he developed a condition called avascular necrosis, basically where the bone in his hip died from a lack of blood flow. And as a result, he's had 6 operations, including 2 total hip replacements.
And he's now 29.
And now he's 29 years old.
Advance Dermatology and Cosmetic Surgery clinics, that's the name of the organization, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
They're pretty big, aren't they?
Yeah, as I said, they have over 50 locations in many states.
Now, when he initially went there, they gave him a bunch of corticosteroids, correct? Is that the normal type of treatment that you would have for a skin rash?
Well, I think that they could have done other things before they gave him steroids, and even when you administer steroids, you only are supposed to administer a certain amount. Right. They went way above and beyond the amount of steroids which anyone should be administered.
The doctors that are at the dermatology clinic, they're medical doctors, dermatologists?
Yes, and also there are physician's assistants who administered the medications as well.
Now, he's also, as a result of having artificial hips, he had them replaced, didn't he?
Oh, sure. And Steve, that's such a difficult procedure, especially even for a guy Ryan's age.
Yeah.
And to have that more than one time, and he may be facing future hip replacements. I think the difficult thing for Ryan to accept is this was so easily preventable.
Yeah.
Corticosteroids are prescribed every day by doctors. If they are prescribed in a safe amount, you're not going to typically.
Right. Is there a way that a doctor can monitor the amount of steroids in your body? There must be some residue. It just doesn't expel it all at once, so they can see they're reaching like a dangerous level.
They should know by the amount that they're administering how much is proper and how much is improper. They administered far too many steroids.
Stuart, you have with you a replica of a hip. Well, show our audience a little bit about what happens when a hip is replaced.
Sure. This is the femur bone, the big bone of the leg, and this area right here is the socket that goes into the joint, the hip joint.
The natural one.
The natural one. Yeah. What happens in this case is this part of the bone wore away and died because of the AVN, or the avascular necrosis. And what happens is they put in an artificial, in this case a piece of metal manufactured by DuPuis. And what had happened in Ryan's case is there's a receptor, and it kind of moves around like this, and there's a piece of metal that gets screwed in here and down into the femur. Right. And that allows him to have movement. In this case, not only did he have to have his hip replaced, but this particular hip has been recalled because the metal on it has failed, and Ryan had metal toxicity in his system. Yes. So he's had to have 2 replacements in addition to the initial insult of the AVN.
What are they replacing it with?
They're replacing it with another hip that's not completely metal but has plastic in it.
Made by the same manufacturer?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And there's thousands of these going on, aren't there?
Yes, there are, all over the country.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about how this has affected Ryan's life.
Well, having a hip replacement surgery is very painful. The recovery is long. He's going through physical therapy.
Right.
It's affected his ability to interact with his children, to enjoy the daily activities of life. Even sitting is a problem. Walking is a problem. Sleeping is a problem. Bending, stooping, you name it. Anything that you could think of that anyone does on a daily basis, Ryan's affected by.
And he's such a young man. He's 29 now, right?
Yes.
This case is pending.
That's correct.
What's your legal strategy to win this case?
Well, Steve, as in any case, we've hired experts.
Right.
Those experts have reviewed all the medical evidence in the case, and we will put together a case based on the expert medical opinion of these doctors,
right,
primarily stating that had the defendants exercised reasonable care, they would have early on discovered that they were using levels of corticosteroids, right, that were simply greater than should have been administered.
And basically poisoning the body.
Correct.
We have Ryan with us today, and we're going to bring him on now so he can tell a story from his point of view.